Good evening, and welcome to the Psychic of the Plans. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course with me is my general manager, operations manager, husband, and lynchman, Techy Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Doing well, doing well. We just got in. Literally, guys, we just got in.
Well, we got in a little bit ago.
Yeah, but, it isn't like we've been home all day. For those wondering, yes, we made it home safe. Had an enjoyable time at the event.
We did. Even with the rain. I hate when it decided to rain. It was right in that, it was right in the period where for events, usually everyone shows up.
Yep.
It's the sweet spot, and that was like, boom.
Yep. It was like, oh. And, well, it's Beltane, and Brenda, who I got to see, who made the most amazing cookies. Brenda, you need to open up your own bakery. And all you got to do is serve cheesecake and those cookies, and I think you'd have a winning sale.
And mark things gluten-free.
Do what?
And mark things gluten-free.
Yes.
Oh. I will say, so we stopped on the way back and went to Almost Heaven Bakery, and that is in Bridgeport, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's a really nice coffee shop. My coffee was amazing. The food we had was great.
Right.
I think we got someone who either was new or didn't get it or was like having an off day.
Oh, well, I think the whole place was having a little bit of an off day because, while we were sitting there, because we took some time to do the morning office routine.
Mm-hmm. Brenda's like, that's what I got confused on. Sorry, Aeson.
It's okay.
No, it was great. Don't get me wrong.
Wonderful.
This was not a horrible experience.
Mm-mm.
It was just kind of funny because we're sitting there, because he asked, what do you have that's gluten-free? And they came back with 2 items.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, okay. And then while we were sitting there,
mm-hmm.
you actually overheard a customer go, and I would like that with gluten-free bread.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, well...
Well, it's not that. It's that another girl, unfortunately, today they were really short-staffed, and the manager literally came out and said, we are working with 3 people. It's going to take a moment. If you can't wait, well, we're sorry. And I'm like,
a little better than that, but yeah. Long and short of it was, if you can't wait, we're sorry. Have a nice day. You may want to leave now.
Mm-hmm.
Just
right.
It's not going to get faster.
Right. And it's like, okay, I didn't have a problem with it. We had already gotten our food, ate our food. We're enjoying our coffee, running the morning routine. No biggie. But anyway, you're in a coffee shop, so you're going to hear every order. And, the girl behind the counter goes, well, what bread do you want on it? Do you want white, wheat, this, that, another? And I'm like, I'm just listening. And she names off gluten-free, and I'm like, hold up here. This wasn't an option I had.
We got 2. We were given 2 options.
Right.
And it's like the whole menu changes.
Yeah.
if you let us know there's gluten-free bread.
Mm-hmm.
That changes the
Mhm.
whole menu.
Yeah.
Like, there's, whoa, game changer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Well,
It was-
Brenda, they have an enjoyable chocolate peanut butter one. However, it doesn't compare to yours. You could put them into you A could put them to shame, and B could put them out of business. With that alone,
I guess we should share. The cheesecake wasn't gluten-free.
no.
The two options we were given were the red velvet mini cake
Mm-hmm.
and this chocolate mousse cake thing,
Yeah.
which was really good.
Yeah.
Both of them were good. We actually sampled and switched.
You're right.
Like it was amazing. Like,
yeah, well chosen. Yeah. So
we do thank you for the
recommendation.
We'll probably hit it the next time we're up.
Mm-hmm.
We now know the secret unlock code.
Yes.
Because it was one, but it was weird, and we've run into this multiple places.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that we're having to specifically look for things that are gluten-free, the number of things that it's like, if you just not do that,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been gluten-free, and it would have been one more item that someone could have.
Yeah.
Because, like, you were looking at the berries and yogurt parfait and drooling, and then you saw the granola layer. And it's like,
could you not?
See, it's a like a third of an inch,
Mm-hmm.
but it's everything.
Right.
It's like, can't touch it.
Yep.
Can't have it.
Yeah, but no. But the other thing is something we've noticed is there's like this, and it was the other thing that happened there, and it's happened at a few other places. The moment you ask for gluten free, it like unlocks a secret menu. Oh yeah, we are making our own food.
We did, and we took stuff with us, and like we had stuff like snackies and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
like no, we did well.
Yeah.
We're happy to hit a Walmart that actually had a gluten-free section, not just gluten-free products commingled with everything else. So good luck. You're now playing Where's Waldo?
Right.
In a Wally.
Right. And we have gotten creative, and Brenda has secured us a flower selection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is already a brand that you liked anyway. So finding out that, like you were excited when we found out that there was a gluten-free version of that flower.
Right. Well, let's talk about this. In West Virginia, especially in West Virginia, there are 3 camps on flower. Very Pacific camps. There is the White Lily camp. There is the King Arthur camp. And there is the what is it? I can see it in front of me. Hudson Cream camp. Very clearly, very specifically, you do not mix up their flowers. They will not cook with anything else but those flowers. Get over with it. Luckily, I am in the King Arthur camp. But I was a little worried because I know King Arthur and I know how King Arthur can be. Like some of their flower choice creations have not been the best. They've been there, but they've not been the best. So I've kind of sat back and like tried to figure out, which, because now there's these other brands of flowers to try. And, some people use a blend, some people make their own, some people grind their own. Like, it goes on all the gambits. And I saw the King Arthur gluten-free flour, and I'm like, is it going to be good? Because if it's crap, it's crap, and then that may ruin me for flour in general. Like, where do I want to go with this? I hadn't really made a decision because, again, I'm not comfortable yet with this new level of baking chemistry. Well, Brenda is, and she's done fabulous. Like, she brought us a whole gallon Ziploc bag, and I think a half a gallon made at home. If that tells you how much we liked them.
Amazing cookies.
Yes. So, where is it? Anyhow, and she done excellent. She took photos for me of like the packaging, the ingredients, all of it. So that was great. And it's King Arthur, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be, these are amazing. Anything else I make would be amazing with them. So now I'm going back to King Arthur flour, and getting that in the box. So there's that. There's where that's been. All right. Those are quiet pins. But no, like that was wonderful of Brenda and Joan. Welcome, Joan, to the baristas. We'll get you on coffee duties here soon.
We will. We've been.
Yeah. All right. So how's your week been?
A little stressy. But overall, it ran okay. Like it was kind of a bouncy week.
It was.
So, and especially with an out of town.
Yeah.
Like I'm still filling in my planner for next week.
Right.
Which usually I try to go ahead and have like the basics.
Right.
But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Buckwheat corn. Yeah, there's a lot of different flours and combining of those. Everyone can tell that I've been out of the house. If you see the cat flying, she's flying to her bed. She's attempting to walk on top of me. And, wants all the attention. It's like, no, we need to get this done. But, yeah, like, she's going to get it. She's going to get it good. But anyway, so you're filling in your planner.
I am.
Yeah. I'm doing mine, like, while you were doing your morning routine, I took some time to pre-digital plan guys. So there is some pre-planning going on that has gone on. And we're getting some routining put back into place. And yeah, there's tons to eat. There's a lot. This is probably the most limitless diet I've been on. The problem comes in with eating out.
And well, a lot of it comes with eating out, and some of it comes with and like I was trying to talk about earlier.
Right.
The one ingredient.
Yeah.
Like looking at a menu, for instance, and it's like, that looks amazing, and I can't, like, you can't have it because there's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that were left out, if that were optional, this would be an amazing meal choice, but the one ingredient.
Right. And then there's like weird things like jerky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, the jerky that we found on the way up, because that's one of the standard car grabs is jerky.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of jerky for road trips.
Yeah.
Like, I heart jerky.
Yes, he does. Um. So, but anyway, we found this wonderful one that was really tasty. Um. And surprisingly, I liked it because normally I'm a take it or leave. Jerky isn't my world, but that one was delicious.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
So, what has been the number one surprising thing we found when traveling this weekend?
I don't know. Did you have a direction you were intentionally going with that, or I was trying to think, like,
No, I didn't have an intentional direction. I was just kind of wondering what you stumbled across or what you thought was like, oh, wow, like this is interesting.
well, again, I think like hitting Walmart or any store at this point that has an altogether gluten-free section,
Mm-hmm.
playing Where's Waldo, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because they're literally on the shelf for foods we hadn't either thought about yet. In terms of like, okay, we've been trying to find replacements for staples that like you absolutely got to have.
Mm-hmm.
And then um, but we hadn't gotten to the point of thinking like, is there a gluten-free equivalent to Hamburger Helper?
Right.
Because Jesus, that would be nice to
Right.
just have like a one box meal. Like, I know it's cheap eats, but we get busy.
Yeah.
It's not all pretty Instagram photos every night. Some nights it's like, what can I do very quickly without a lot of thought
Right.
and consume in like 30 minutes or less?
Right.
Like, I don't even care anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you get to that point where it's like, I want a hot meal, but I don't want to actually have to think or really do anything.
Right. And I don't want to do the schematic of, okay, if we order out, what are we ordering? Are we grub hubbing? Where are we grub hubbing from? How long is it going to take to get, like, there comes a point in time when I just cannot do it.
Right. Well, and especially with this, like, every menu is a minefield.
Right.
But no, I mean, just having like little things like that we hadn't even thought to look for, hadn't even thought, like, does that exist?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to see those items,
Mm-hmm.
one gives us something else that, like, oh, yay, cool, we now know that exists. So we can in turn look for that at our local store that plays Where's Waldo with it. Instead of having to, figure that out eons from now.
Right.
So yeah, it was the gluten-free hamburger helper. That was cool. Finding your sugar wafer cookies that were gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get it, but just we knew it existed, and that was kind of a cool thing.
Well, we did get crackers because that's been one of my things that's like, can you not make a good cracker? Like, this isn't hard.
Oh yeah, we found different crackers. That was useful. Yep. But no, there was something else that, like, we had a discussion whether we should go ahead and grab it while we're here, or like, well, we'll wait and look for that later.
Different breads.
Oh, it was the You're right. It's a bread, but it's not bread.
Baguettes,
Bagels.
bagels.
They had the bagels, the
Mhm.
gluten-free bagels. And like you had a moment there with it. Like, should I?
Yeah. Am I ready to go back to that? Because I'm a bagel English muffin in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, and it's the whole thing of, yeah, it exists and it's a thing, but like having a section where it's all at
Right.
really helps to one, make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's always useful. Because I'm sorry, so far with our local Walmart, it's become the meandering aisle problem.
Right.
Is like pick an aisle and just start going up and down it with the app,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what says it's gluten free, what actually is gluten free. Um, because here's the thing: is I, I don't know. Can we get legislation to require all food that is gluten free be labeled as such?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is um, because you almost have to work from the assumption it has gluten until proven
Otherwise. But Ellen says, order online. Here's the problem: is when we order online, we're not going to get it, guaranteed. They will substitute, because I run into this with somebody else in the house with Invisible when we order his food online. When we have,
order for pickup on.
even for delivery, Grubhub delivery.
Well, I was thinking maybe what Eileen was meaning was like Amazon.
We're
They don't
looking at that.
substitute.
Yeah.
Like they don't substitute.
Right.
And other places, of course, but yeah, no, we've had issues. Well, see, when we hit no substitutions, and I don't want to sit here and be like, those damn lazy employees, because I don't really think it's that. I think for some of them, I wonder if in the like it like Instacart phenomenon, if there isn't that same moment I start having in a store, and part of our problem shopping for gluten free, which is at a certain point, it's like decision fatigue. It's option fatigue. It's
Mm-hmm.
you're just staring at all the things, and eventually you go blind to the choices.
Right.
Like you just can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I know we've had instances where we've, done an Instacart. We've not gotten stuff and went, well, okay, I guess they're out of that. But then we instantly turn around and like we had to run out for one other thing, and it's like they have it.
Yeah. Like within hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason, we ended up. I mean, like we've had it with like hot dogs. We've had it with and this is before the gluten free, but we've had it with things like hot dogs and just like random substitution.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the other thing that's bugged us. And like we've had orders where we then tried the mark no substitutions thing just to make sure. And I swear to God, there are some items in those stores they cannot find.
Yeah. Do not see a
Like,
pepperoni.
that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. You're a paid professional shopper, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're rolling through the store all day long, up and down the aisles, fill the cart, fill the cart. And there are things you can't locate.
Right.
That I can't locate. And it's like, yeah, welcome to our world.
Right.
And because some of them that we've not gotten when we've marked no substitutions, or just in general that we haven't received, I've laughed at before because I know where it's at, and I know that's why you couldn't do, why I didn't get it.
Right.
Because it's in a weirdo place.
Right.
You have it, you don't know you have it, or you looked where it ought to be, and it's like, yeah, I agree, it ought to be over there too. Your store decided to put it over here, which makes no logical sense, and
Well, it's like, how many places should pepperoni be in a store?
I mean, there's some argument to be made for, like, if we're talking about like different kinds of pepperoni. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing like the party tray and you have a party tray brand of like the pre-cut heart salami, the pre-cut this, the pre-cut that, I understand it's there, and that's one brand. That's like the private selections at like Kroger. And then you have like, this is Hormel pepperoni. It's
right.
It's just, that's pepperoni. And of course, there's a store brand version of that. So that's 2 locations. I could understand if you stock it over next to the pizza making supplies, like make your own pizza.
Right.
Again, I get it. But yeah, like our Kroger, it's like,
it's by lunch meat, it's by pizza making, it's over in the beer aisle, and it's in the deli section. The same thing, Hormel pepperoni. They will say they don't have it because it's not by the spot they see it at.
Well, and it seems to be independent to each person where that spot is.
Yes.
And it's like, guys, this is why we have problems. Like, I understand cross-locating product and why you might want to do that. It makes some sense, and I appreciate the efficiency of, if I'm looking for pizza making supplies, there's pepperoni. There's part of me that appreciates that. But it does get a little like weird at times. That if you don't have it in one place, that you now have 4 other places in the store to go look. And it's like, no, I don't want to do this. Well, and it's sort of like like I always joked about, because the worst one, the Kroger in Princeton, West Virginia, I will tell you now, they do have ricotta cheese. You will not find it. Because it is in the weirdest location.
Okay.
There is not a single container of it with any of the other like cottage cheeses. None of it's there. There's none. Not a bit. It is in one place.
Right. Well, let's talk about that in a minute. Let's take a break.
Okay.
Are you ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery and empowerment? Dive into the mystical world of Wicca with our courses guided by Lord Aeson Knight. Unveil Wicca's secrets, explore fundamental principles, and delve into essential topics like deity relationships and the purpose of rituals. Aeson Knight, a 3rd-degree high priest, shares his wisdom through life coaching lessons, guiding you towards a brighter future. Step into the inner circle of enlightenment. Enroll today to embark on a journey toward a more empowered you. Click the link to take your first step into the magical circle.
Ready to join the Psychic Coffee Shop Network? By becoming our patron, you'll unlock exclusive content from Aeson Knight, host of the Psychic Coffee Shop podcast and co-host of the Mountain Bears podcast, alongside the tech-savvy Techy Joe. Choose from subscription options ranging from Tall $1, Grande $5, to Venti $10 per month, supporting us in covering production costs and beyond. Depending on your subscription level, enjoy discounts on private readings, free access to classes and special events, behind-the-scenes extras, and the chance to participate in station meetings. Plus, you'll get early access to new content and the opportunity to shape future topics. We'll acknowledge your support in the credits of our videos. Don't wait. Brew some magic and join us today as a valued member. Link in the show description. Aeson Knight, your gateway to a transformed life. In a world where anyone can claim to be a life coach, Aeson stands out as a true professional with the skills and qualifications to guide you on your journey to success. So why invest in a personal life coach? Let's explore the game-changing benefits Aeson brings to the table. Ever find it hard to stay committed to change on your own? Aeson's expertise ensures you stay on track. With him as your coach, that internal drive kicks in, motivating you to keep your promises and achieve your goals. Making a change is tough, but Aeson makes it 1,000 times easier. He's your unwavering support, guiding you through challenges, pushing you beyond your limits, and believing in you even when you doubt yourself. Friends are great, but they may not always want to see you succeed. Aeson, on the other hand, is dedicated solely to your success. He removes negativity and limiting beliefs, giving you the tailored support you need. Forget endless hours deciphering advice from books and videos. Aeson is your shortcut to effective change. He saves you time and money by offering personalized attention, guiding you toward the tools and lessons that will truly work for you. Ready for a better tomorrow? Book your discovery call with Aeson Knight now. Take the first step toward the life you've always dreamed of. Aeson Knight, your partner in transformation. Start your journey today.
So, ricotta cheese, darling.
Yes. So if you are in the Princeton, West Virginia Kroger and you're looking for the ricotta cheese, it is on the dairy side on an end cap, little freezer case or a refrigerated case that is almost like you will walk past it 5 times and never see the ricotta. But it's literally the third one. It's the one of the outside ones. And it's right there. And you will feel so dumb because it's an entire case of ricotta cheese.
And that gets, that would just make me want to go, nope, ain't buying it.
Okay.
Because you can't find it. It just makes it harder to find.
Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing is you can walk all over that store looking for it every which place you could think. They would stick ricotta cheese, and it's like, yeah, it's not there. It's oddly stuck on an end cap all by itself, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, this was your best use of an end cap refrigerated unit. Like, you have enough cottage cheese over there in the dairy section to, like, I don't know, is every little old lady eating cottage cheese and peaches? Like, is that all we do? And I say that for a reason, because Princeton has a very older population. It's like, how much cottage cheese can you go through in a day that you stock that much, and you can't, like, just open a hole, put it where someone will look for it.
Right. It just gets me.
Oh yeah, but no, I thought that was the wildest one I would ever run into. The pepperoni at ours now and no kill. That situation is hi guys. Because our store does have a tendency to, like, go empty shelf before they restock a shelf.
Right.
So yeah, it can get annoying.
Yeah. But no, we done good. We didn't mess up, as far as we can tell.
Did good.
Yeah.
Did the things. Yeah, so apparently Brenda's had the same issue with ground lamb. And the store, I finally found ground lamb, and the butcher had to show me top shelf the meat section surrounded by beef.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can follow that. Not even near the turkey, was it? Because like the ground, here's my idea. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe there's a good logical reason this happens, and I don't know these things because I'm not a butcher. But if you're gonna have the ground beef section, have the ground the beef steaks and the beef fajita meat and the beef tips and your ground beef and like all your beef product, and then come over and next to it put the ground turkey, the ground lamb, the ground chicken, all the weirdo meats. That like it. Keep them together. Make a little family. Make a happy little family.
Right.
And put it on an end, not in the middle.
Well, and what I found here lately, especially searching the meat section for different meats, because I get tired of the same meats. I really do. Is they hide this stuff. Like I am fully there's a reason that you cannot find it in the stores is because they hide it. And they hide it so that they don't have to, so they can say, oh, and this has been said to me multiple times now, and I've blown a gasket by a certain grocery manager. We're too poor for that.
We don't ask our Walmart to carry stuff.
Yeah.
And I think generally in this area, very few ask for stuff.
Right.
Like either they don't know that's a thing you can do, which is talk to your local grocer, and they, tell them a product you want to buy. It kind of makes a logical sense that,
right. Because I shared with the patrons earlier this week, I didn't even ask for it. Well, I asked the deli if they had it. They said they did not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was lunch meat. You would think lunch meat, no biggie.
Well, one, we had a whole moment where it's like, what do you mean the lunch meat has gluten?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah. Should have known when you were getting nice, clean, square and oval, consistent slices of lunch meat.
That there was gluten.
Pigs don't come in circles. End to end, like perfectly like a block.
Right.
Ham does not come, like pigs are not grown in squares.
Not yet, at least. But, so, I've shopped this store probably all my life. Most of the employees I went to school with. So I go in, it was the next day or the day after. No, 2 days after that.
Mm-hmm. A couple days later.
Yeah, one of my past classmates, associates, goes, oh, you need to go check out the deli section because he's diabetic. And he knows that I do a lot of diabetic stuff. They've got a lot of new food in. I go over and there's like 3 different types of gluten-free lunch meat.
Yes.
Score, happy Aeson. But that's because, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. And they've done that with a few things. Like they don't have it, and then like customers ask for it, and boom, it's there. But Walmart's, who is a larger chain, you ask the same question, and the answer you get is, we're too poor for that.
And here's the thing. I wonder how many people have been told that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have never asked for anything else again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because that's what I basically heard out of that when you first said it, is there's no point in bothering to ask.
Right.
they're not going to get it.
Right.
They eventually did.
Yep.
But you also kind of lost it on that manager.
Well, I lost it on the manager because I'm like, excuse me, this is a $1.72 item.
Yeah. Like, we're too poor for $1.72. Have you seen the bread aisle?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, let's talk.
Like, what level of bull is that shit? Is what I said to him. And so I walked off. And I'm like, he's not talking about the financial ability in this city. He's talking about the financial taste buds in this city, which is bullshit.
Well, yeah, that's like a doubling down.
Yeah.
It's one, whether you take it as we're too poor of an area to have food like that,
Right.
or you're taking it as the people here are like institutionally or systematically poor.
Right.
In terms of, like, they eat garbage.
Right.
It's like, either which way you say that, it's like, it just gets more insulting.
It does, but the other side of that is it gets even worse because people won't eat stuff unless it's presented. And that's the aggravative side of it, is it's like, if you supply people with different food, example, lamb. We can only get lamb here at Sam's Club in Beckley, and I believe that's mainly around Easter. Sam's Club, if I'm wrong, please send me an email. I'll happily go buy some more. But it's like, how insulting to anyone walking up and looking for something. And then they go and they have, I think the best way to explain it is they have gone and attempted to like dumb our society down, and then they come and bitch at us. West Virginia's overweight. West Virginia ranks highest in heart attack. It's our grocer's fault.
Well, I mean, I think there's a mix and match there.
Uh-huh.
Like, pick your poison.
Right.
I think there are people in this area who are on what can literally be called poverty diets.
Right.
And are trying to, get the most bang for their buck.
Right.
And so they are buying cheap food.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is probably also generational.
Right.
That, mom and dad have a big family. They a lot of biscuits and gravy because flour, egg, and water is cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of that, and then you teach that, you create a palette for that in the children
Mm-hmm.
who go on to become mom and dad, and even if they don't have kids or they only have one kid,
Right.
they keep cooking like that. Because a lot of our cooking is passed generationally.
Right.
Well,
a lot of West Virginia eating is the same eating that they done in the Depression.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, I think some of that now is also generation.
Right.
That you have grandparents, great-grandparents that were Great Depression that survived, creating children that eat like they're in the Great Depression and maybe add a few things.
Mm-hmm.
That create children that eat like they're in the Great Depression but have added a few more things.
Right.
And it just takes a while to work its way out.
It does.
Not that there aren't people that, persistently, like, they developed their entire palate at age 15.
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah, Brenda's saying that she mainly goes to the Asian market in Morgantown. We need that address. I need to make a visit there.
Mhm.
Or Amazon, and yeah, we're going to be Amazoning this month. Once, because I love Amazon. Don't get me wrong, but I try to support brick and mortar as much as I can. One is because I still don't trust the shipping food to me thing. The other part is just trying to figure it out, because there's a process to all of it. But yeah, and she also says many of her friends won't try new things. It's all the standard what grandma cooked. Yeah.
Well, and I have a question there. Because that brings up a point that I've wondered about. Because I've run into that kind of moment a few times. And there always seems to be a grandma behind it. And it's not an insult. I just find it a quirk. But I've run into a few people that have these very odd, like, food limitations. Like self-imposed. It's not, it's not a condition. It's not what it is. It's that they are literally stuck. Well, maybe that's a food issue. I don't know how to term it exactly. My great niece's boyfriend will not eat vegetables. Period. At all. Will not eat a vegetable. Not a vegetable. Not one of them. He was raised by his grandmother. And I've seen a couple of different people that seems to be a common denominator. It's like, what did grandma do to you? Like, you know what I mean? I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not throwing off on anyone's grandma. I'm just going, how is that a common denominator? What's the quirk?
Well,
I'm curious what the quirk is.
We've talked about it. In my grandmother's house, if it's Monday, it's meatloaf.
Yeah, you have a problem with repeating menus.
Yeah.
Like you have a major, like, please don't ever do that. You start having, like, your head starts to explode if it's like, we have meatloaf Monday and taco Tuesday, and like you're like, no, we don't.
I can do one of those. Like, I can do one repetitive daily, like meatloaf, taco Tuesday I can get cool with. I really prefer taco Thursday, but that's just me. But but that ruined a lot of foods for me in my early thing.
Well, yeah, having them repetitively does.
Yeah.
So Brenda says, I have a cousin that has never eaten fruit. She's almost 50. Can't even imagine.
Oh my God.
I have a question. Was she raised by her grandmother or by grandparents? Either which way. I haven't seen a grandpa figure into this one, but I'm thinking it could be, but it may be specific to grandmothers. Like, I'm curious if this is a weird trend. No, raised by parents. Okay. I've just noticed it for a few people that it's like, wait, how does that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, not to be mean, and maybe there's a lot of issues to be had with it, but I thought that, like, being forced to at least try a vegetable was just part of growing up. You're allowed to not like it, but you had to try it.
Right.
And that's the whole thing with my great niece's boyfriend. Has never had, will not consume is repulsed by the idea of a vegetable. And I'm like, what?
How?
What? Like the closest he gets to eating vegetables is he eats pizza.
Well, I'm sure there's people here that in this town that still thinks tomatoes are poisoned or poisonous. Very sure of it.
Hey, it happens. But anyway, so what does all this have to do with psychic plans?
Well, it's because you got to plan your food. It's got to how you have to operate. It's like now when we get ready for a trip, I'm researching restaurants. And which ones can I go eat at and look at the waitress and say, I need gluten-free, and her eyes not bug out and go, we got steak, we got grilled chicken.
That's your options. Okay.
Yeah.
That's part of it. In addition to like planning to go out to eat now involves the additional step of trying to read through an entire menu.
Mm-hmm.
See what options there might be.
Right.
But then we have because we now have to scan every single item.
Mm-hmm.
Shopping takes long.
Yeah.
Right now we're having a little bit of problem with meal planning.
Right.
Because we can't just go with things that we can go with things we've cooked so far and just repeat that.
Right.
This is going to lead to problems for him. But trying to find a variety of
right
that we can. So meal planning has gotten a little dicey.
Yeah.
It's kind of a day by day. So that's taking some extra time. We're basically meal planning 7 times a week.
Yeah. Like we're not meal planning at this point. We're experimenting.
Well,
and evaluating. And what I mean by that is like when flour is $10 a bag, and I'm not joking, 1 pound of flour can be $10 a bag on gluten-free. For me, I have to have that moment of, is this the good one? Is this the bad one? Am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? Am I going to like its consistency and it's holding together or not?
Well, it does start to become keys to other meals.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, then you don't have the keys to other meals.
Right.
It's sort of like the wrap experience. So far, you hate the gluten-free wraps you've tried.
Yeah, like, do not care. Nasty. Feed it to the dog.
Which becomes a big problem because there, like, a number of your go-to like lunches and things like that,
right,
are wrap based.
Right.
You know, it's one of the universal carrier foods.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a food on its own, typically speaking, but it helps to like button up and beautify other things.
Yeah. And I'm like, haven't found one I like yet. May have to make them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What else? But like, and bread. We're still looking for good bread. I think I want to end up baking my own.
Okay.
Because
I understand.
Yeah. Like the breads are just not holding up, tasting right. You know. And sandwiches are a big part of my midnight lunches. So far, the hit has been cereal, weirdly. Like they've done cereal right. Oh, Brenda, thank you. And tell Joan thank her for taking the second round. You want to read that?
So Brenda says, yeah, if those cookies didn't taste good or were grainy, you weren't getting them, LOL. They were taste tested first. I made Joan try them too. She took the over-browned ones home with her.
And I think she's probably holding them at gunpoint. If not, Joan, I'd get a lockbox. Because they're delicious.
I'm sure even over-browned, they would still be on Aeson.
Well, those are the ones you dip in milk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But no. So we went to see mother-in-law number 2 while we were away. And we delivered our old kitchen to her. And she's like, what's all this? And I'm like, all the gluten-free stuff in the house. There were 5 boxes in the back of our car that went to her. We came home and I felt like we forgot stuff at the hotel.
Yeah, well, more to the point, it was all the glutinous stuff.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. Like, because it's been an experience. Canned vegetables. Why is there gluten?
Corn. Green beans.
Yeah. Randomly. Like, and again, some things make sense, and some things it's like, that was a cheap food science cop-out.
Right.
You know, and more to the point, like, how much did you get out of it?
Right.
In terms of being a food manufacturing company,
Mm-hmm.
and a canner and all these things, what did you get out of it?
Right.
Like, you could not possibly have gotten enough shelf life out of this.
Mm-hmm.
We know that's why it's there. Like, we figured out the food science behind it. It's about shelf life.
Right.
Either that or it's a flavor added.
Yeah.
Yeah, canned veggies.
Canned
That
veggies.
drove us nuts. We have to, when we say we now have to scan everything at the grocery store, we have to scan everything at the grocery store.
Individual item scan everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because
There's a fun one, realizing that the food on the shelf is inconsistent.
Yeah.
Identical can, identical labels, supposedly identical contents, and the back of it, it's 2 separate products.
Yep.
It's not the same. And it's like, how? I mean, I'm sorry. And there is like a whole TikTok thing about that. You know, there's a shock and awe going through the community already.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly about like corn that has a warning that may contain lead.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like that seemed like, I don't know that one's true. I will tell you that we had 2 identical cans of Progresso soup. One scan's fine,
Mm-hmm.
no problem. It is gluten free. The other one doesn't. These are the same soups. They're identical cans. It's an identical label.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you make this change? And is it consistent?
And it was bought at the same time.
Yeah, we bought them at the same time. It didn't seem to be an old stock issue. It just seemed kind of haphazard.
Yeah.
Like, why are there 2 different versions of the same soup?
Yeah.
How does that end up on the same shelf?
Right.
So that's the other part of this is also learning that there's not going to be an end of this.
Yeah.
Like it's now a perpetual thing. Is we can't just go, okay, reset. What can we buy? What can we make? What can we make with it? We're now beholden to, does the store that we go to carry the version
Mm-hmm.
that we can use? Are we going to be able to locate the version we can use?
Mm-hmm.
So all of this comes back to time management.
Well, it comes back to time management. And Brenda says that app sounds like it's worth. Yeah, I'm using Fig, by the way. If anyone's out there looking for an app to do any dietary thing, Fig's your app. I got an email this morning, 240 items with ingredients changes. And
all of which, I mean, I would hope maybe it's shifting from it has gluten to it is now gluten free, and maybe that's the thing. Like companies are getting it.
nope.
That, randomly adding this one ingredient is shooting yourself in the foot
Mm-mm.
for an otherwise gluten free product. Would naturally be gluten free,
Mm-hmm.
would not have gluten, but you added it.
Well, that would be great. That's not what I'm seeing as I was reviewing the email this morning. Because one of the other things we have set to our Fig is testosterone acetate.
Testosterone acetate, yes.
Yeah. Tell our audience what that is.
It is a vitamin E derivative.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found is because of my aloe allergy, I have to avoid testosterone acetate in everything.
Including mashed potatoes.
Yes, including mashed potatoes. Of certain varieties.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. Is where that one's at.
Right.
Is like, if it's the Idahoan prepackaged sour cream and chive potato, I can have it. If it's any of the other ones.
Yeah.
What we know about testosterone acetate and why that one's popping up everywhere, is that it's considered an all natural food stabilizer.
Right.
It's a long, windy road. The short version is, different fats have different breakdowns. Some of them are temperature, some of them are time. If you add testosterone acetate to that fat, you change the properties of it. And so now it's more shelf stable. It can take higher heat point. So you can, for instance, take a really cheap, crappy oil, add some testosterone acetate, and turn it from just a standard cooking oil that smokes at like 300 degrees or something, into an oil that you can now deep fry in. Oh, and if you've already caught up with me, let me tell you, that's how I learned it. Was I started having problems out of fried foods, left, right, and center, out of nowhere. Like, I've had this, I know what this is, I've bought it, I've eaten it, I've had it for years. All of a sudden, I started having problems, and I noticed the consistent trend was that it's random places that I'm getting fried food at that I get violently ill. Could not figure it out for a minute, and then suddenly realized this is the theme. Started looking at like what changed with all the different parts of this. Realized that the biggest new change in food science that actually made news. Not that anyone cared, but it made news. This was a cost-saving measure by especially chain restaurants, franchisees, to save, cut their costs just a hair. Was buying cheaper fry oil that had been tocopherol acetate stabilized.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so what the hell is tocopherol acetate? And then I went and looked, and it's a vitamin E derivative.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, 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 no. Because the cheapest source of vitamin E is aloe.
Yep.
Why? Why?
Yeah. But no, a lot of the ingredient changes is they are adding more tocopherol acetate to products to make them crispier. I don't know, to just be evil, to cut their cost.
Well, and if you start looking at some of them, it seems to be it's going into powdered milk.
Yeah.
So anything that now has a powdered milk component,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be suspicious of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it comes in with the potatoes. That's where it comes in with like the Slim Fast shake that of doom.
That was poisoning both of us now.
Well, now that we know. But I mean, well, but your reaction to it was not the same as mine.
No.
Like, not quite. Like, this is where it starts to come in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, again, we're now having to scan everything.
Actually, you can go ahead and address that one, Joe.
Oh, yes, we did find, what is it, Annie's?
Kraft mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah. Kraft mac and cheese has a gluten-free.
Yep.
So,
and is aloe free.
Yeah. No tocopherol acetate. So, yeah. Granted, Kraft got a lot of pushback a few years ago over macaroni and cheese. And specifically with what they were doing to get that bright orange color.
Mm-hmm.
Food Science to the rescue, they made a simple change.
Right.
They replaced the artificial dyes and colors that make that iconic color.
Right.
With paprika and turmeric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Simple changes. But no, also Kraft is one of the more responsible companies, and I kind of have to give it to them. And here's why. They're one of the bigger gluten-free YouTubers who has celiac disease. Started to change their thing for Kraft macaroni and cheese to create a gluten-free macaroni and cheese. So they done that, but they didn't sell it in Canada where she lives. Hello, Kraft. Like, what the hell? So then she done another one, and guess what? Both of them were successful. Both of them delivered. And Kraft went, oh, okay, you want it up here? Here you go.
Like, again, ask your grocer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get mad enough about it, ask the manufacturer of the product.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of this is just no one ever stopped and thought.
Mm-hmm.
No one was, really thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That you have a commercially viable product that people will like, minus one ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should consider it.
Right. All right. So I've got my weekly done. that would do it. I'll do the 3-card. We'll look at yours, and then I'll fill out my Monday. We've continued our washi tape for things that repeat themselves. We've boxed in events, and I've taken from Joe's planner and modified it to my planner. Like there's coffee cups and teacups for podcasts. There's gym shoes for the gym. We brought back our Rum Run girls and some messaging stickers. And it's laid out pretty well. We're at how many hours, Joe? 43 this week?
44, I think.
Okay. So 44 hours on network and appointments. Is what we're set at. And 1/3 of that?
What's 1/3 of 44?
No, 3/4 of it. I'm sorry.
3/4 of 44 would be 33.
Okay. So we have 33 time boxes. Minus the 14 of repetitive tasks. It's 8. That's 1. So that's 18 free time boxes for tasks that is not my repetitive one. That's how we're doing that. Not too bad. Not too bad of a week. All right. So I've added some other pages. One of them is a weekly plan. This isn't going to live here. It's going to get put up in the house. Well, behind me. Probably in this space right here. So that I can just see it on a glance, but also everyone else can see it on a glance. And then this is me going to time track my week. Like, did we hold to what was scheduled? I'm going to time track it, because gym will fit in here, network will fit in here, podcast will fit in here. That way we can get a better look at my week. And then this is my new daily sheet, which I'm going to fill out and decorate for you. You'll notice it goes to 6 a.m. and then I can put my bedtime in here. But my weekly sheets only go to 3. So this is the new daily sheet. I've taken out things like, how I'm feeling. I'm going to write that out right here because the faces, resistance. When you see resistance in something, change it. All right. So let me grab our deck. We're pulling out the oldest tarot deck I've got. Let's see what this week's going to be like.
Is it currently the only one that's not waterlogged?
It currently is. It's not waterlogged or in a bag.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were so happy because usually for events, there's a specific deck you take with you.
Yeah, I take.
Because it's the showy deck.
Right.
And you were so happy for this event. You had this moment where it's like, no, I don't think I'm going to take it this time.
Yeah.
And then everything got wet.
Yeah. It happens. They'll dry out.
Yes.
They'll get away from matter.
They're not ruined.
No.
They're not that wet.
Right.
But yeah, they got a lot of humidity.
Yep. Oh. Okay. Brace for impact, everybody. First up is the world. This is the ending of a cycle. Thank you, New Year's Eve to New Year's Day. That's the ending of a year. This is ending of a cycle we've been in. Changes to occur with the Death card, and the Four of Pentacles, which is a rebalancing.
Oh, that's 4 of Pentacles for that. Okay. Sorry, I thought I was doing good. I got 2 out of 3. Thought I had the third one.
Yeah.
I thought it was the Hanged Man.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so this week will be monumental. All right. So let's go over to Ditchland. Let's talk about your week.
Alrighty. So, yeah, I've got a few things to catch up on for Monday. It's mostly a standard week. I've got I have one doctor's appointment run. Sorry, I moved my digital calendar and was looking over, and I was like, oh, I missed one. No, I have one doctor's appointment to run on Tuesday, and so that day is going to be a little jumbly, but I think we'll make it work. And then the rest of the week, fingers crossed, I think it's going to be a pretty on-task week.
Okay. Better say you don't say that Q word.
Now, I'm not saying the Q word. I'm saying an on-task week, meaning that currently, by schedule, I don't have a lot of already pre-known interruptions coming. So I'm hoping to focus down on some things. So, yeah. I did, as you guys can see, I kept the theme from last week because I was kind of running out of time.
Cool. I don't know. I kind of like your theme.
I do too. It's a Joe page.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call it. It's a Joe page.
Yep.
It does Joe functions. It really does. I'm kind of liking the consistency right now. Of course, if I want to change it, I can. And yeah, so I've been rocking it. And yeah, so all my days look pretty much the same. Got my shows in, got my appointments in. Been trying to use the different sections a little more. We're not perfect, but they're getting used.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to do some of the different trackings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's a pretty flat week so far. Just most of the normals and one appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can keep that glued down.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hope. And then yeah. So it's looking like it could shape up for a good week.
It is, and I almost touched my screen because all weekend I've been using my lap.
Having a touchscreen and then getting rid of a touch, and then like using something that isn't a touchscreen, it really will mess you up.
Right.
It's like I'm now, I think, perpetually locked into I'm gonna have to have a touchscreen laptop.
Yeah.
Like there's no hope. Like I do well enough not to touch my desktop screens.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I have moments where it's just like it would be easier if I could just.
Yeah.
Of course, I also found out a fun thing this week. And that's more so less attention on the screen, but more attention on the Joe box. So I've been having trouble out of my mouse.
Right.
And could not figure out why.
Okay.
And then I noticed a simple, stupid thing. You guys probably cannot see at the bottom of the screen what's going on, but that's okay. What's happening is my mouse cable will magnetically attach to the edge of the iPad. I can now safely let you know that will cause your mouse to malfunction. drove me crazy. I thought, what is wrong with this mouse?
Mm-hmm.
Me crazy.
Yeah. Like he was ready to throw the mouse. And I am like, honey, break it down. Break it down.
So yeah, that was my fun for last week, was finding that out.
Now, I have a question. Like, I have these moments when it's like, I should have known that. Did you have a moment of, I should have known that?
No, I wasn't having that.
Okay.
Per se. It made perfect sense once I realized what was happening. It's so subtly like magnetizes to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very light.
Right.
It wasn't restricting the mouse cord movement. It wasn't doing anything that was like, here's your V8. It was just one of those things that I didn't realize it had gotten, that it had the power to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew the edge of the iPad was magnetized. I knew that, it's a mouse cable. It is clearly gonna have metal in it. But no, was one, kind of expecting better shielding.
Mm-hmm.
But two, was not thinking that it was actually making enough connection.
Right.
Oh, but it was. Oh, but it was.
Yeah, it's making great connection.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least enough to interfere. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, that's my week.
Okay. So how do you feel just using the same theme?
I'm liking it.
Okay.
I know it's not very visually interesting for others, but
does it work?
it does. That's why I'm using it.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's not like I can't scroll back and pick others, but I'm liking it.
Yeah. All right. So, all right, then I flip over.
Cool.
All right. So very basic, bland looking week. Looking day page. Like it's just got the basics. It's got the remember, the to do section, and then it gives you room to do other things. Notes and that type of thing. Love this great bar up area because that gives you places to like put quote, like here. It's a lovely place for a quote. And right now I'm kind of looking for a bigger sticker to go on top and hitting a wall with that.
Well, you could do like a thick, heavy washi.
You could. And I may do that if I don't find what I'm looking for. That'll work. So, you guys have seen me do this before. We do a washi across the top, a washi across the bottom. And next week I'll show you the results of what this looks like when I'm done with it. As in, because you were saying this at the shop when we sat down to go over the week schedule. You know, that sometimes we plan things and they don't hold true to plan.
Like, it's just the nature of life. There's
Right.
the, like, planning is fantasy of what you would like to have happen.
Right.
Some days are not a fantasy.
Well, some days everything, you know, you wake up and everything changes.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes everything changes. Sometimes it's a couple of things went a little wonky, and things had to flex and shift and move. And,
Right.
Sometimes the plan is overambitious.
Right.
That it's like, oh, okay, that's what we're going to try to accomplish on Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, we can give it a shot. we can see how that goes.
Yeah.
And it sometimes hits a, like, look, what's my top 3 today?
Yeah.
Like, this was a great idea, but what's my top 3?
Yeah. Or, you know, this was a cute idea, but what's the importance? Like, what can I do right now? And what do I not have room for?
Am I just making myself busy?
Yeah.
Uh,
or where's the fires?
Well, yeah. And the additional realization, some things just take care of themselves given enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Some tasks get low priority to the point that it's like, you know, I don't think that's a task anymore.
Right. Or that's unimportant now.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we do go through, like, life shifts where something that was very important and plan worthy and had every right to be on that page goes away.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know, or, you know, especially when you're dealing with, like, in the psychic industry, which is a lot of what this show's about, is the psychic industry itself. Like, I don't, like, you know, there's going to be a note here because a couple of the networks are going to have sales, and those are things you need to remember and make sure you're posting and yada, yada, yada. But you could wake up that day in that whole plan of, like, I'm going to work 11 to 6 a.m. We're going to rock that along. You get an email, the network's going to be down from 2 to 5. Thanks for informing us ahead of time.
Freaking bad.
Yeah.
And then there are some days that also work out that way, because I know you've had days where you beat yourself up because it's like, I'm just so tired. I know I need to work, but I'm gonna go take a nap.
Right.
And then the network's been down.
Yeah.
And it's like you created a lot of personal stress over something that wasn't gonna work out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you were doing what you needed to do. You could have sat there and forced yourself to stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have had a guilt-free nap.
Right.
And it's like, so sometimes things just work out.
Right. You know, so things happen, things change. Don't be beating yourself up if you've got to, and this is the reason I didn't date these sheets, is if I need to take this out, I can just take this out and replan it, and then next week, and make a note why I'm replanning on the sheet, so that when we look at it next week, because I think I'm going to go through next week and show you how I go, well, this is what I'm doing this week, or this is where we've got to do this, and these are the goals, is so that, and then look at what actually happened.
Then try to fine-tune from there.
Right.
Like, and evaluate it, like, was this a me problem? Was this a world problem? Is this a recurrent world problem?
Mm-hmm.
That just, there's no hope.
Right. And Brenda, sometimes spirit not only says no, it'll say, Sit down. And put you back in your place.
Well, I was talking with a client, and I'm not going to out him. But I was talking with a client this week.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few layers to this, and they asked me in follow up whether I had contacted this prospective client.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to point out, it is the wildest thing. Every time I've gone to call them,
Mm-hmm.
I've been waylaid into something else. Something has occurred that prevents me from calling.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't just a couple of days. This has been weeks.
Right.
And there's a professional side of me that is like, this is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, just call them back.
Right.
And it's like, I've tried, it doesn't work.
Right.
Not in a numbers disconnected. I mean, every time I've gone to call them,
Right.
something's come up. And like we were talking about it, and I'm like, but I'm at a point in my life where I go, things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of times I have forced myself to call someone back
Mm-hmm.
when this has happened,
Mm-hmm.
it's been unfortunate usually.
Right.
Is like the conversation we end up having, and what I'm afraid it may be for this person, is that something about them is in flux.
Mm-hmm.
And now's not the moment to talk to them.
Right.
Because it's not going to go well.
Right.
So all I can hope is it's one of those situations that this all comes back together.
Mm-hmm.
And they are a prospective client. They're just not a prospective client today.
Right.
Like they've got something, like maybe it's something with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I've got to get this thing, like something is coming.
Right.
Or their business, which is what I'm supposed to talk to them about,
Yeah.
is, and that kind of, I got some insight from the client, that they are kind of in a odd space with their business.
Right.
And there is kind of a fluctuation to it right now.
Right.
And so there's a high potential, if I do talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to waste time.
Right.
Because they're not sure what they want to do.
Right.
And that means it's either going to be a really long or a really short meeting.
Right.
The long version is, I think you just need help, like, locking it down so we go through it and like it's a million squirrel tangents.
Right.
Before I realize you don't quite have this button down yet, so what do you want me to do about it?
Right.
Which sounds rude, but it's the truth. Is I build your website, I don't build your business. But I can tell you right now that like that's not a business. We can't put that into a website. It's not going to work.
Right.
Or it very clearly shows itself, and someone actually says the words, "Well, I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now," and it's like, why are we here?
Well, yeah, and that's something that people don't get that often, or they get upset about. Is like, no, it's not time.
Yeah. Well, and for some, I don't think it's quite that. I think it's the idea of I need a website, so I want to find out what it's going to cost me.
Right.
And then I'm sitting over here going, that depends.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know what you're doing, the numbers I'm going to tell you aren't going to hold.
Right.
And then we're going to have a different conversation later when I'm like, well, that's actually going to go up.
Yeah.
Because it always ends up being up. I've only had one that went down.
Yeah.
It's always an up. It's like, well, you changed the endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I planned for what you told me, and then you changed it.
Right.
And yeah, your cost went up. It's not a me cost.
Right.
Or it's, because I typically, once I tell a client a price, I hold to it.
Right.
As far as my numbers. But it's like if we have to add on things that cost money,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I built your website. Like if you need additional features to support that, they're going to cost money.
Right.
Like there's a pretty long list.
Right. And that happens. I mean, because, once you start into the online marketplace, and then it's like, oh, I can do appointments. Oh, I can, have an online store. You start opening up new gates.
Which generally we present to clients when they're like, I want a website. And it's okay, what are you trying to do? Because that's like our discovery call.
Right.
Is okay, what do you want to do? Like, what are you selling? What's your product? What's your, space? And then we have already figured out a lot of solutions for different things like scheduling,
Right.
Like we have preferred vendors. And yes, they have price tags. They're pretty modest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. We have had conversations where, well, I want a website for this, and then we start talking to them, and what they envisioned is just like, to some degree, it's like, well, I can deliver that in a weekend, but I don't think that's what you want.
Right.
What about this? I can do that? Yes, you can. But if we go through that conversation and then you decide you want to add a store,
Mm-hmm.
way down the road,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a different contract.
Right.
Like, I can't give you a free store.
Right.
Like, that's not an upgrade I can give you for free. I take on real costs with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to change the pricing. That's the only thing I really have to change pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, I will hold for most things and be like, well, that's what we said.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay,
All right. So we have my schedule. We have the remember box of things I need to keep up with. My to-do list, it's already filled out because it's Monday. So there's some things that occur every Monday. We have a box here that's designed for something, whatever I need it to be. Today it's a sticker. And then a note section, which I filled in some. We went coffee, grabbed the big coffee stickers. They look nice. So that's my Monday, guys.
Yay.
Yeah. All right. So let's remove this. Let's bounce this. All right, guys. So here's the schedule for this week. We will be here tomorrow on Monday at 5 for Metaphysical Today with Miss Hazel. Tuesday, it's the Psychic Coffee Shop with me and Joe. Wednesday, there isn't a show. Thursday, it's Coffee and Tea with Miss Natalie. I think it's Natalie or Gwen. Miss Gwen's coming with me. And then Friday, we're back with Mountain Bears at 9 p.m. And then back with Psyche of the Plans on the 19th at 5 p.m. Right. So we do want to welcome Miss Joan to the coffee shop, to the Barista Club.
Yeah, she will soon see her name appear below. Not this show, but by Tuesday.
Yeah, give me a minute.
I'll give you. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin.
Did you not see Joan? She's right after Brenda.
No, she is not. It didn't save. It
Yeah.
just displayed.
Yeah, it displays it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's not showing on my side. I think because it didn't pop the update through, because I used the one under banners.
Mhm.
Because yes, there's Joan Owens. Welcome.
Yes. If you guys would like to learn more and to join the baristas, you can do that over at PCSP Network, where you get exclusive content, discounts on readings, and sometimes care packages.
Sometimes you're back.
All right, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Good night, y'all.
Good night.